Welcome back to the cupboard under the stairs, where we can settle in to talk about parenting, have some fun, and do some arts and crafts. The baby is asleep. Shh. And what's it time to talk about?
We are talking about modern day fatherhood.
Dads that are very involved in raising children. This episode is called Gender Roles. So it's another night in the Crippen household, and it's time to unwind, take a break from tidying up the toys or the never-ending pile of laundry and washing. You're here with me, Elliot, the eccentric one.
And you're here with me, Emma, the comedic one.
I was going to say arty, but I like comedic as well. You're the funny. What am I? You're the one we laugh with. I'm the one we laugh at. Is that how it goes?
I didn't want to say that.
What craft are we doing today? I think we are doing some Lego. A bit of a, what's the word? A liberal interpretation of the word craft.
Well, you're making something.
Exactly, yes. It's another one that I'm doing. And
He said that like resentful, didn't he? Another one I'm doing.
So far, a lot of the ones we've recorded are ones that I've done. Let's
I
be
think
fair.
it's because I'm a perfectionist. I take a lot of time and effort into whatever I do.
Yeah, you're also more kind of like spur of the moment in that, like, if you're in the right mood, you'll go and do some arts and crafts.
Definitely.
And I won't be there to film it.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like,
and then I get
I'm going to
told
sit down this evening and film some crafts.
Why have you done an arty thing? You didn't let me record it for the podcast.
It's like the other day you were painting some rocks outside,
Yeah.
and I was like, I could have filmed that for the podcast. Anyway, we're doing some Lego. Actually, this holds a bit of significance. The Lego that I'm building is a present that you gave me when we first started dating.
Yes, yeah. I
don't
completely
know-
forgot about that.
I don't know, can't remember which birthday it was, but I remember we were camping at the time.
Yeah. Well, it's because we've been together too long now. We can't remember.
Yeah.
You know, early relationship,
A while
you
ago.
can remember like, oh, this is what I got this year. I'm like, no idea.
Yeah. It's a Star Wars ship.
Yeah.
You know, we're both quite nerdy and into
We are.
fandoms. I'll enjoy Star Wars. Are you big? You're big into Star Wars.
I like Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know which of us is more into Star Wars. Probably different stuff. It's like all these
Yeah,
things, different
yeah.
bits within it. But yeah, it's a Star Wars Lego. As it was from so long ago, I had the challenge that it's been broken up many times and mixed in with all our other buckets of Lego.
Yeah.
And so actually, I thought this would be a quick record, and it ended up taking ages just for me to find all the right pieces.
I remember because I came back from fitness and you were sat with all the camera equipment out recording Lego, and I was like, oh, have you started yet? And you were like, no, I'm finding all the bits.
Anyway, as usual, stay tuned till the end to see how the Lego turns out and what it looks like. And as well as that, do stay tuned till the end, as we will feature a parenting tip from one of you, the listeners, which is very exciting.
And you probably know more than us.
So we come to that moment again where we share a parenting achievement, ding, that we've reached. You know, a parenting fail, something that's happened that we've kind of, you know, a lot of parents experience, and we're going to share, you know, to show we're not perfect parents.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
I think there's a lot we could choose from recently.
Definitely. So the one that springs to my mind was not really recently, but a few months ago maybe. I was conned by our almost toddler. Conned! I mean, it's also a cost of living thing.
I already know what he's going to say. He was furious about this when he got home.
So we did a little trip to Lidl.
Lily's favourite shop.
Yeah, it keeps her entertained. She loves running around with the basket on, you know, the wheelie baskets.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we count as an activity these days as parents, you know, trip to the shops. That'll waste half an hour, get some energy out of her.
Does. That could be a tip in of itself for later. Take your kid to Lidl, let him run around.
Of course, the danger, as you can probably tell, is going to be the outcome of this story, is that they want to buy stuff. And
Which normally with Lidl, fine.
yeah, prices
Keep
are pretty
sharp.
cheap normally. So we came home with a magazine. So we bought the stuff we were looking for. We got to the till, and you know they have the bank of magazines, and they had
Right
a nice,
near the till, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, Lily saw one, and she's at this point she's almost 2 when this happened, and so she's kind of a toddler age where she knows her own mind, but also you can't reason with her. So she saw the Thomas the Tank Engine magazine and wanted it, and I could have said no and had a tantrum, but I thought, it's a magazine, I'll buy it. It looked fun. It had a little train that came with it. I had not anticipated how much magazines cost these days. £7. £7 for a magazine. I was like, what? I thought it'd be like £2 or £3.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So when he got home, and he was like, the train has a little, what was it? Like a little, I want to say house station?
Yeah.
Made
Well,
out
it
of
was
cardboard.
a bit weird one. I think it was like a farm. It was like the story was about the train going to a farm, so it had like a little barn.
But it was really funny, because Elliot, was so trying to get his worth out of this magazine. He made the little barn that, was naff, because it's made of cheap cardboard.
Yeah, I was like, come on, Lily, come play with it. We've spent a lot of money on this barn.
Did Lily play with it?
Not great. No. Not a great investment.
No. I mean, she does like the animals. Does she have a better standard of animals that probably didn't cost £7? I think so. And hasn't really read the magazine. She'd colour it in when I forced her to, but that was because I was aware how much money the magazine had been bought for.
So that's my parenting achievement I've hit, is buying an unnecessary toy for an extortionate amount of money that is then not played with. I feel like you must have similar experiences. To let us know. We'd love to hear them. I would love to feel reassured that other people have had similar experiences. So
this hasn't happened to me yet, but I think you were lucky that you learned from the magazine mistake, because I think easily it could have happened to me if she'd been there and checked up a magazine.
It's one of those things, though. You do learn with things, so now I kind of try and hide the magazine thing as we go past. But there's always going to be new stuff. So, things you don't expect, especially, I think, as children grow, they become interested in things. So things that before were safe suddenly become, this is exciting.
Well, it's like we were going around a toy shop because we were getting some Bluey items because we can't get them just anywhere. What is it? Is that really big shop? What is it called? Smith's. And we saw there was a baby section. Now, Lily loves babies, absolutely adores them, but she has a lot of them. So we had to make a conscious effort of avoiding the baby section every time I went past it. Whereas when she was younger, I wouldn't have even considered that to be a problem.
I'm pretty sure we failed there as well. I'm pretty sure we ended up going around a corner and going, no, we're in the baby aisle again.
Yes, but we managed to convince her to swap the baby for a Bluey toy.
Yeah.
So in the end, it all worked out. Yeah. But yes, at one point we did fail in that.
Like she had picked up a £20 baby.
And was carrying around. And it was only when I was like, hey, do you not want to hold this Bluey thing? And I think if she'd remembered, if she could have hold on to both, we would have ended up having to get both. But luckily I managed to make her hold one and give over the other.
An advantage at this age, isn't it, is she can only hold so many things. And she's like, I can't hold this and that. I suppose I better put this down. So you can kind of convince her. So that's good.
Hint with Little, give her a bit of fruit to hold as you go around.
Oh, yeah.
A melon or something. Loves holding one of them.
Again, we're in quite a good age where she doesn't realise the value of items. Yeah. So you can give her, the weirdest, cheapest thing imaginable. And she's like, how exciting is this?
Yeah, that looks great.
A wrapper from the floor. Wow, I'm going to cling on to this like it's my favourite toy.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, what's your parenting achievement that you've reached this week, or generally have you experienced a similar thing? Comment on the YouTube video if that's how you're watching, or let us know over on our Instagram. You can get more involved with the podcast over on both of those at don'twakethebaby_podcast. So let's dive in with our main topic this week. We're discussing fatherhood and stuff, modern dads, all that type of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it encompasses quite a bit, really, and it's not really an easy way to explain it. But I'm excited that we get to talk about it. I feel like, it's very much how we operate, that we're quite modern in our style. We share parenting.
We try as much as possible to be 50-50 with everything we do.
Yeah, and we don't always see or experience that in the wider world, that and there's all sorts of things to discuss around that. But it's also exciting because for me, there's lots of other podcasts and things out there that
Yeah.
discuss parenting, but it's often mums chatting, you know.
Yeah.
Things like toddler groups and stuff are always for mums. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff for mums.
There is.
You know, and I'm quite excited that for us, we're, you know, a couple that can talk about it together and share, and that, you know, I've got a seat at the table, as it were.
Yeah.
It's to kick us off, almost start chronologically. I
Yeah.
think we were surprised early on, going through pregnancy, even before Lily was born,
Yeah.
how much dads had kind of just sidelined.
Yeah. Yeah. We weren't I mean, I know for my sister, they were at a different hospital and a very different experience. At our hospital in our area, Elliot was basically ignored for most of pregnancy. And fair enough, near the start, we were in COVID, so he couldn't go to a lot of appointments. But there's a whole leaflet you get given about becoming a parent. And there is one page for dads.
And it's not like, you know...
Because I get they're not going to go through the same stuff. They're not going to change their body.
The point.
You're not going to be able to do breastfeeding.
It's not to take away from the fact that there are experiences that women exclusively...
It was more annoying because I think the page basically said just support the mother.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, that isn't... you should be doing that anyway. But it doesn't tell you how to support. It doesn't say what you're going to go through.
But it would have been very easy for them, for example, on each page where they're talking about different topics.
How can you help with breastfeeding?
Exactly. There's a page on that. And it's as if, oh, well, the dad doesn't need to know about any of that. And I'm like, why not?
Doesn't involve
Of course they need to know about how breastfeeding works and, you know, everything else, how to do stuff. It's not that, oh, yeah, dad's page at the back, like, oh, you just support the mum.
Be supportive. Do the bare minimum.
And it's not to say that, you know, we call it modern parenting, but it's not to say that there's a right and wrong way to do things.
No.
You know, there's plenty of people out there that still follow the typical gender roles, and that's absolutely fine.
I think particularly if you're the person who goes out and you're working long hours, you can see why the other person's going to take the initiative and have to be the main carer. That's fine. Definitely.
And I think we are forced into it to a certain extent, and I think more and more millennials are in this situation where we both work from home, we both have full-time jobs. You earn more than me.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have that what was a very traditional family dynamic of the man being the main breadwinner and going out to work. And so just kind of naturally, really, I'm more involved. But yeah, even through the pregnancy, going to appointments, I was surprised. Basically, I was just given a seat in the corner of the rooms when you had scans. And they didn't even say hello. They didn't speak to me. They didn't say what was your name. Entirely.
Yeah. They would just talk to me.
Yeah.
And I know it's my body and that's what it's going through, but I felt like being like, he's part of this journey too. It'd be nice if you talk to him and act like he's part of this.
Yeah.
Because when we went to a private scan, very different. Very friendly. This may be a thing about maybe the NHS. Not going to get into that topic. But the private scan, they were a lot better. They actually taught to you like you were human and that you were involved.
And I think people do make a lot of assumptions, don't they? There's still a lot of surprise around that dads can be so involved. And I don't think it's that unusual. I mean, again, it would be great to hear from people, listeners out there, what it's like for you if you have if you yourself as a male listener are involved in parenting, or
if you're a stay-at-home dad, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. Like, how is it? I wonder how common it is. Definitely must be more common than it used to.
Well, it was really refreshing. Soon we're going to a conference that I'm attending, and Elliot's going to be going and looking after Lily. And it was nice that somebody connected us with another couple who the woman is going to conference and her partner's coming with her children to look after children. I was like, that's quite nice that there's another dad doing that role at the same time.
I suppose it could be a generational thing as well.
Yeah, I expect it is in that when our parents had us, my mum did work but part-time and my dad was the full-time worker. I mean, it is different because my dad was on a farm, so you couldn't not be a full-time worker. Like, you know what I mean? It takes up a lot of your time.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a criticism of, you know, it's just...
And he was really good in that he would come back from, like, a really late night on the farm and he would still play with us on an evening. He did as much as he could.
Yeah. It's just it's a different style, isn't it? A different experience, a different way of being. But then it frustrates me that we often encounter, you know, maybe it's people at church or other people in the community, slightly maybe of an older generation, that then are amazed if I have Lily by myself, or like they make little jokes about like, can I survive if you're away? Like, oh, who will do the cooking?
Or
and
they
all
assume
that
I
sort of
don't work.
Yeah. Just an assumption that. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you do something, and I'm like, yeah. What economy do you think we're living in? Like, of course I'm working.
We couldn't afford for one of us not to work.
Yeah. No, it is true. You get a lot of things like, how will you survive?
Yeah. I'm like, I am capable. Like, I'm not just an incompetent man.
You can't do anything.
Not to say it isn't without its challenges. I mean, clearly Lily, from birth and even now, we've gone through phases, but the majority of the time she has been more attached to you.
Yeah.
I'm slowly becoming more of a favourite. But
but this is when he gets sad about it. I'm like, you're still her second favourite person in the whole world. Like, in the grand scheme of things, you are a huge favourite. It's just, if she has a preference, it is always for me.
And I think people might be surprised at how much we share parenting between us. But actually, we intended to share more of it.
We did.
It's just that Lily's preference for you does inhibit my ability to do
and
stuff.
Sometimes it's easier to just let her have me. So like sometimes this is a current thing. If she wants to poo on the toilet, she wants me to go with her. She doesn't want Baba. I'm not sure why we have to be poo buddies, as I call it, but that's just something she's like, I want Mama to be there for that. That special moment, I want Mama. And I'm like, you know what? If that's what keeps her happy right now, I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
Like you say, it's easy to forget that I'm like her second favourite in the world, because like we're around together most of the time, and so the majority of the time you are above me in the pecking order.
Exactly.
Like she will always want you to do stuff, but any other time, if you're not there, you know, she'll do everything with me fine, and that's great. I suppose we should maybe talk a bit about what we actually mean by it and what we do. So like even from birth, like we'd share feeding, because we did mixed feeding. It meant I could do bottles. And we share like nappies.
And I know there's a huge debate about breastfeeding. I did really try to breastfeed. I wasn't very successful, so I ended up pumping milk and feeding. But it was really hard with, I'm not going to say, I will. Okay, with the NHS, it's very difficult because they're very just pro breastfeeding and nothing else. And I get...
But it's pro breastfeeding with no support. So it's like, do it or that's it. Like, we're not going to help you do anything else. And
I was like, I would like some sleep, and I would like my partner to be equally involved with the feeding. Even if that is breast milk in a bottle, I want them to be involved in that. And they didn't seem to understand that. And I know it's probably an overly feminist viewpoint, but I was like, I don't think it's just on me. I know that's physically what my body can do, but even if he was doing, realistically, if I'd been really successful at breastfeeding, even if he was only doing a third of the feeds, I would have wanted him to do some of them. Because then you know you can leave and your baby will feed. You're not stuck constantly.
And we intentionally tried early on to make sure that Lily had an attachment to both of us.
Exactly.
So, you know, she was clingy with you.
She was.
But
she still is.
She still is.
But...
it means, like, we can happily leave her with me for an extended period of time. It's like this conference coming up, I'm going to have her for, like, 5 days by myself.
And it's like, when she was about 6 months, I went to my sister's hen do, and I could basically go away for a weekend, and she was fine. And she wasn't even upset when I came back. Like, she just kind of accepted that I was back. There was no tantrum. It was just, okay, great, Mum's back. Like...
Again, we're in a privileged position that we can do that because we both work from home.
Exactly.
We're both around. We can share things like that. I mean, it comes with its downsides. Definitely. Equally, it means that, you know, I am around a lot of the time. And it's a difficult thing to weigh up, isn't it? I mean, I had a job opportunity come up when Lily was around 6 months or so, I think. Maybe she...
slightly younger.
Maybe, I can't remember now.
It was before the hen do that went on. So it must have been before that point.
4 months or so.
Yeah.
But it would have meant I would have been away a little bit from home. Not all the time, but at least a few days a week.
Yeah.
And, you know, ultimately, one of the major factors in saying no to that, even with a pay rise, was around saying I don't want to be away from the family and I don't want to lumber you with the huge, you know, the parenting burden.
I think especially, and it is true, people say it and it's corny, but you don't get those years back. Like, the toddler and baby years, they're really hard, but also it's great because they learn new things all the time. And I feel like a lot of people, and this isn't their fault, they have to work, but you miss those moments because you don't get to be there when they happen. And I think a lot of dads miss that, and that's hard.
We also share, sleep. We do a lot of. So, I suspect this is slightly more common in that we'd kind of keep track of, for a while we did half the night each, and then we'd do a night on, night off.
Yeah, as she got better, would be one person's on duty tonight, the other person's on duty the next night.
So the idea being, hopefully, that we're kind of sharing the lack of sleep between us. Which, again, it works and it doesn't work, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because if we ultimately shared everything 50-50, that's fine. But I suppose my frustration was always each of us have our strengths and weaknesses in things.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lack of sleep really affects me far more than it affects you.
Definitely.
And so actually sharing it completely 50-50
doesn't,
it we had to find means that suited us so that we were sharing responsibilities, but in a way that...
Well, this is why in the end it became I would do a night and then you would do the morning.
Exactly. So for me, getting up and going back to sleep in the middle of the night was really tough.
Yeah.
Whereas what I could do was get up and wake up and then I'd be up.
Yeah.
So I could wake up early and just be up then.
Yeah.
And so even now you do the middle of the night. So
yeah. This is just
up.
Now she goes to the toilet at 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I'll take her up, put her on the toilet, put her back to bed.
And then I'm up in the morning and look after her for a few hours every morning from 6.
Yeah.
These days. And it has been for quite a while, really, hasn't it?
I'm actually getting the better deal now because literally now, normally, she can be up a little bit afterwards, but normally put her on the toilet, she does a week, goes straight back to sleep, and then I'm back in bed. It means I used to get an extra 2 hours, I'll be honest. Lily now comes, wakes, gets me.
Yeah. She's up.
After
She's
about
I'm
an
ready
hour.
to play. It's the morning.
What happened to Mama? She's laying in bed still.
Yeah, it used to be I could come down at 6 in the morning and just kind of lay out and stick the TV on or put an activity out, and Lily would be entertained for a few hours before you got up. But now, as a toddler, she's wants to play and do stuff. So for a start, it's a lot more draining first thing on the morning. I'm sleepy. I just want to sit, have a coffee or something. And but she's like, no, I'm ready. I'm awake. The day has started.
Let's do something.
So it's now just a challenge of how long can I make her last before she creeps up the stairs to come and get you and wake you up. But it's great that we have Bluey, the TV show, that represents a very different style of parenting from a dad that's not often portrayed in the media. It's great to see that represented as a very involved father figure.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the dads in TV seem to just be the strict ones. And it is true, you are stricter than me with Lily. It's often just, I think maybe sometimes when Lily watches it, it almost makes her see, well, that's the bad guy. Because, especially in, The Little Mermaid, the original. Maybe it's about Disney originals. But they're very much he'll tell them off, and he's angry all the time, and
It's true. It's not until you mentioned it, I hadn't noticed. And now I'm looking out for it. It's surprising how often a main character, particularly if we're watching a show or a movie that has a female girl main character.
Well, even in Moana, one of Lily's favourites.
They have a difficult relationship with their father, or the father's mean or doesn't understand, not supportive, or is actively portrayed as the villain. And I'm can we not have a show where there's a caring father, or the father's just absent, they're not there, and I really not noticed it until you pointed it out, and I was what influence is this giving to Lily? What is she picking up here? So it's great to have things like Bluey that show a really positive father
and quite a
role
healthy
model.
dynamic.
Yeah, really healthy. And he doesn't get everything right all the time.
No.
It's good.
I have a trail of thought if you'd like her to get in on it.
Go for it.
It's basically about, even though we really try and be 50-50, society doesn't always let you. So it's like with nursery. Our nursery is great, but they will not tell Elliot anything. As in, they will be like, no, wait for the mum to get there because they know everything. And I do accept that a lot of dads don't. So like my sister Becky, she says to her nanny, do never tell her husband anything because he will not pass on the message.
Yeah. And it is true, like, it is probably better because, again, not to, I'd like to say, sure, tell me everything, it'll be fine. But, I am dyslexic.
Yeah.
I don't remember things. I'm a very visual person. I don't remember audio, stuff very well. So telling me information on a doorstep, it is quite unlikely to make it back to you successfully.
Also, I'm kind of the admin of our lives.
Yeah.
So I'm just better at doing that. But I would say most women, you're made to be better at doing that because we don't really get given a choice.
I feel like this feeds into like a wider conversation that we may or may not want to have because of it being a little bit contentious, but kind of just general gender like stereotypes and feminism and linking in with what's expected of men and women and stuff.
Well, I think at some point I would like to get another mum on and just talk about all those issues. Because I even have an issue that, like, growing up, being feminine wasn't seen as cool and wasn't seen as something that you'd want to be. And I've always been a bit of a tomboy, but it's only as I've got older I really want to emphasise to Lily that she can be feminine. Like, it's not cool to like pink, and it's fine to like all those things because she really does like pink and she's really into dresses, and I don't want to go, oh, that's not cool, because I think often in our society masculine things are portrayed as cool and girls are weak, and I want to be like, it's fine to like all those things. Like, you can like a pink dress and you can love dinosaurs. There's not a choice you have to make there about liking one or the other, and it doesn't make you less strong than a boy. Like,
I think in that way we're quite modern, as it were. For as long as I can remember, we've always joked that, in our relationship, Emma is the man and I'm the woman, just in terms of bucking the kind of society stereotypes. Not in all regards.
But it used to be like when we went out to the cinema together, this before we had Lily, Elliot would always order a diet drink and I would always order the full sugar drink. And they would always give me the diet drink after we'd ordered them.
Yep.
And I'd always be like, that is not for me.
Yep.
If I'm drinking it, I'm drinking the normal
We'd
one.
have that a lot, We'd go to a pub, you'd order a beer, and I'd order like a cocktail or something. And they'd be like, well, we know who to give these to.
Yeah, exactly.
In all regards, we're kind of both... It just don't follow the stereotypes. And so it wasn't surprising for us that I'm very involved in stuff. Like, I really love babies and like...
Oh, yeah, there's that other difference. Elliot's definitely more of a baby person. I love our baby. I wouldn't say I'm a baby person with all babies. So, like, obviously I love my family's babies, but I much prefer a toddler. As in, for me, you can interact more. I know they have tantrums, but I really value the aspect that you can play and you can talk, and it's just so much more exciting for me.
Yeah,
when they learn those skills. You're
like that typical dad that wants to take their kid out and go play on the field, have a physical, fun activity.
Yeah.
Lots of energy.
Let's go trampolining. I want to do something
I'm like the mum that just wants to sit home and chat and relax and, do a little, drawing or something low energy.
Yes, I think this is, we have very different energy levels. Mine is like up here.
I'm just like a grumpy old man.
But yeah, no, I think stereotypically we do fulfill the other roles a lot of the time. But I think that's also a thing with modern parenting. Like, you can be a more effeminate dad, and it's okay. Like, that's okay to have that role.
So this little project of ours is brought to you in partnership with the Kairos movement, which is a project of the Methodist Church, which me and Emma are both a part of. And what is Kairos? It's a kind of pick-a-mix network of groups and activities around Yorkshire. Some are spiritual, some are for community and for helping others, all sorts of things really. And you can kind of pick and choose what works for you to help you personally flourish in, your whole life. We're also supported as a project by the Methodist Church, which is the organisation I work for, and which Emma is kind of very involved in.
Volunteering for, yeah.
Find out more about the Don't Wake the Baby and all our support and links and other stuff, other ways you can get involved, both with us as a community and with our wider Kairos family of friends, over on our webpage www.kairosmovement.org.uk/don'twakethebaby. We've touched on it briefly already, but it was interesting to explore just how it's kind of changed since we were young. I mean, you've already mentioned you had a little bit more of a typical dynamic in your household, with your dad being the one that goes out to work and your mum being the main child carer and whatnot. My family was a little bit more modern, I suppose, just in the sense that my dad was a Baptist minister, and my mum worked, once I was a bit older, I suppose, she worked full-time and was our main breadwinner, and so my dad did do a lot of the household stuff and took me to things and took me along to his work and toddler groups and did the cooking and the cleaning and the ironing around the house. So in that sense, I grew up a little bit with a kind of a more involved dad.
Yeah. A lot of my friends get annoyed that they feel like they do a lot in the house and they seem to be doing everything. So it's like they do cooking, cleaning and childcare and they're working, because for some reason, even though women now have, the right to work, we somehow still have to do everything else. And I think it is slightly generational in that they've grown up and not seen their dad do anything around the house, and therefore they think that's just kind of what happens. They don't have to do anything because that's not what society says they should do.
But it is hard, isn't it? As you've already pointed out, there's a lot of stuff where women just have to be more involved because society kind of enforces it.
I think also you're also taught that.
Yeah.
It's kind of an expectation you have.
Yeah. This is where we kind of do embody the other roles in our world, in that I feel like often I'm the one sat at home these days going like, I have to do all this stuff. Like, I get very envious of these other men out there that don't do anything. I'm like, see, these other dads don't seem to have to do anything. We had a fight
at one point. I was like, oh no, you have to do an equal amount of work. How terrible. But he was giving the point of, well, these other dads don't do it. And I was like, yeah. And I wouldn't have put up with that. Like, you could envy those other dads and say how great you are doing stuff, but that's just what I expect of you. That doesn't mean you're like super good, because you're actually doing half the workload. I remember after the argument, he was sat there like, it's kind of right.
In both scenarios, though, I suppose it's just like a bit of appreciation, isn't it? And
I think
we should appreciate that women do a lot of the work, and like,
and appreciate that you do stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
I wasn't going to say that, but I'm glad you have.
He was feeling a bit underappreciated. The way he chose to be like, other dads get to go out with their friends. And I was just like, you can do that. Like, I just feel like you're arguing about doing 50% of the work. That is what you signed up for when you asked to have a child.
Yeah, I know what I signed up for.
He's like, I know what I said. Those are great.
I suppose it comes with, I'm sure we'll talk about this more another time, but just the challenges of modern parenting as a whole. The fact that we both need to work is a challenge. It's something that a generation before our parents didn't always have. That I'm sure some did, but the economy and things meant that it wasn't always necessary for,
or at least one of you could work part-time.
Whereas now, again, there'll be people that can survive fine on one income, and if you've got a great job.
If you're in France. Bitter note, but my sister lives in France and they're quite good over there with childcare and stuff. So she now actually has got a new job, so she's working full time, but that's because she wants to, which for me is just an incredible thing to think.
Well, this is another example of the system we have here, the government.
Yeah.
Creating a...
Not to get too political.
I know, it's difficult, isn't it? But there are other countries that have better systems that mean parents and families are better supported, which allows
how they have more money?
Mums to work and stuff.
Because they tax the rich. I'm just saying, it's a much better system. So when
I thought we weren't getting political.
I'm not saying for what party. I'm just saying it seems to be working, even though people go, "Oh, it wouldn't work here." I'm like, it would.
Yeah. As it currently stands,
simmer down.
I think a lot of parents these days, you do both have to work unless you've got a lot of support, or you're lucky to have a well-paid job.
Yeah.
And that does mean that it is tough. It's different. It means you don't have one person that can fully embody the stay-at-home role.
Well, it's hard for mums as well, because I know we're talking about dads. I'm sorry to be overtaking this, but one of my friends recently, they're moving abroad, and she was like, I don't know if I want to be a stay-at-home mum, but that's kind of where I'm at now, because her husband earns really good money. There's no point in them both working and paying for childcare. And she was really going, I don't know if I want to do that. And in my head, which is terrible, I was like, you're so lucky. I get for her, it's kind of part of her identity is going, if she didn't want to lose that by not working. But in my head, I was like, me or Elliot would both be so happy if one of us could be a stay-at-home parent. Like, that's such a luxury. But I couldn't go, oh, what a luxury. That's great. And I got where she was coming from. It is hard, because it's like my sister Becky. Now she's got a full-time job. She quite likes it. You get to go out the house, you're not just with the kids all day. It's nice having that other side to life. It's just because I'm resentful because we don't have enough money to even possibly think of being in that situation where I'd be like, oh no, I don't have to work.
Yeah.
It just seems crazy to me that would be something you were worried about. And I get why. Just like I said, resentful.
And there's more stuff out there now, I think, appearing that's there to support parents and new family dynamics and ways of parenting. Our local church have tried to launch a dads group to try and support dads who are looking after kids and that sort of thing. Or a lot of people that come are giving the mum a break by taking the kid out the house and going somewhere at a weekend. So that's
their initial thought for the dads group is dads would come and chat and they wouldn't bring their children. And afterwards, I was like, no, it makes perfect sense. I'll be like, you think you're going to go out and enjoy yourself having a chat? I think you'll find you're taking a kid with you.
Yeah, it kind of backfired, didn't it? It's like, let's create a group without the kids. But no, we need to have a thing for the kids. But it'd be interesting. Let us know what happens in your household. How involved are you as a dad? How have you found, society and attitudes towards parenting, modern parenting, however you do it?
Well, I was going to say, it's interesting. Our neighbours, they've, theirs is based on work. So when we first met them, I often saw always the dad with the little boy next door. He's very sweet. And we got to know them quite well. And it's only now that they're going to, the school won't quite work, because he's going to school soon, with their patterns of work. So now his wife thinks she'll go part-time just to be able to do pick-offs and drop-offs and things. So that'll be changed for them, because actually they're used to the dad doing a lot of it, and now it's going to switch back up. I think
just have to roll with it, don't you? Adapt, and that's the parenting way. It's been good to talk with you today, and the conversation doesn't end here. Do get involved with us on YouTube, on Instagram, or if you'd like to connect up and share stories with other parents around Yorkshire, or chat with us directly, you can get involved with our listeners community, which is a Facebook group chat where you can chat directly to us and link with other parents. You can access that through the link on our webpage, or you can just find the Facebook group, which allows you to access the chat for Don't Wake the Baby listeners. How's the craft gone? Craft, I mean, it's not a great way to talk about Lego.
How's the Lego gone?
How's the Lego gone? I don't know. It's gone okay. I think there were a few bits that I never actually found or put in the wrong place. I don't think we have the original instructions, so I was following the instructions on my phone, so it was a little bit
bodged.
Yeah, it's like a lot of my crafts. It's just bodged, But
they all turn out looking okay.
Yeah, as always, we're not the experts. We don't know what we're talking about. I'm sure you know more about crafting and parenting. If you're a fan of Lego, send us in your pictures of Lego creations you've made, things you're proud of. I feel like it's a particularly good one for dads. A lot of dads.
Yeah.
Again, I'm being very stereotypical, but
it is true.
Yeah.
This is a lot of things are stereotypes, but they are based on some truths.
Yeah. It's true. If you disagree with us on anything, which is absolutely fine, if you feel angry that we've talked about things that aren't true or whatever it might be, tell us, hit the dislike button.
It has brought to my attention we haven't talked about any queer parents, where there's 2 dads or 2 mums.
Yeah, that's very true.
But we haven't experienced that life. So if you are one, I would love to hear that experience, because I'm sure a lot of them people will try and put you into probably gendered roles.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, you're the mum and you're the dad.
Yeah.
That would be fascinating to hear. I just have no experience of that.
Yeah.
All my friends who are gay haven't chosen to have children at this point. So
yeah.
or maybe it's too hard. I don't know the system, haven't pried.
Again, with the podcast, we're always going to speak from our personal experience. And so...
It's just a side I thought of that I was like, probably very interesting. Probably has a lot to say.
This is the point, though. We're sharing our experience, and we'd love to hear your experience too. It's the point. We can share our own stories.
Somebody could tell us about that. I'd be very interested.
Yeah, definitely. Parenting tip for this episode. Have we got a parenting tip?
Oh, I got one from my sister Laura. Which was a one line of choose your battles. I do find that to be true. We try and be consistent, but sometimes you're just going to have to give in because you need to get somewhere or you need to do a specific thing and you just have to do it.
I think that's very true, isn't it? It's like the whole compromise thing. Yeah. You've got to pick your battles. You can't win everything. And
well, it's like Lily. Like, if you haven't heard, recent Naked Baby.
We haven't got time for this.
Oh.
Sorry, we're already running over. Every time we talk about something, Emma goes on a tangent on something else and we have another 20 minutes of chatting. This is meant to be a quick little finish, not like, here's another story.
Sorry. I do this on a night and it drives him crazy. We're like in bed about to go to sleep and I'm just chat and he's like,
this is why we're doing this, because she's just Miss Chatty over there, just talking constantly. I'm like, we need to record this.
Can you believe this podcast wasn't even my idea either?
There we go. So that's the parenting tip for today, is choose your battles. Really good one. If you've got a parenting tip that you'd like to send us in, just send us a message, tag us on Instagram, put it in the YouTube comments, put it in the listeners community Facebook chat group, and then we'll feature it on an episode.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's goodbye from us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Sleep well.